creations of incredible horrors that will terrify you with their brutal reality.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Cinemondo Trailer Reaction Program, sponsored by
Absolutely no one.
Doan's Pills. No. Sponsored by us and our goodwill.
That's right.
And our love of films and movie trailers. And this one is a series trailer. So this is coming to people that have Apple Plus, Apple TV. And it looks like a big, huge production. It's really interesting. It's something that we're going to watch.
This one's pretty special to me because I really love science fiction, and I especially love science fiction from this era. You know, this I like older stuff. I say that every day. I like old stuff.
I like old stuff.
But I do like old stuff, and this is
He does like it.
It is based on a series of novels by Isaac Asimov, the Foundation trilogy, and it looks like maybe they put enough. I mean, it's an Isaac Asimov really popular book series, and you wonder, okay, if it's so great, how come they haven't made a movie of it before? But there's so many old science fiction novels that they have trouble making. Like Dune is a great example. I mean, David Lynch made Dune, and it was a David Lynch film. It was a bit of an oddity. It wasn't. I love the film, but it's not Dune. It's not quite the Frank Herbert Dune of the books that I remembered. Maybe the Denis Villeneuve film coming up will be.
I'm very excited about that.
Which I'm excited about.
Great filmmaker.
But Foundation is really similar because it's a massive story. It hugely, when you're reading it, it's gigantic, epic, huge epic. It spans time and space. It takes place in the distant future. There's a bunch of books like by Larry Niven, like Ringworld, a hugely popular book. No movie because it's too big.
But see, now we have streaming, so I feel like these things that are too big are now just right, just like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, now they put money into it. Game of Thrones is a great example of an epic that couldn't have been. You couldn't have filmed a TV series of Game of Thrones in the 70s. You know, you could have, but it would have been awful.
And I think streaming services want to have those tentpole shows, the ones that they go, okay, this you buy this, you rent the service or you get the service to watch this, and also you can watch the other things, and they keep you. So that's why I think what Foundation is.
And I love the streaming stuff. I'm feeling like movies are too short. I want to see when I find out something's a movie, I'm disappointed. I want it to be a series now. I want to know more.
Yeah,
and some things really have to be a series. You couldn't just make one Game of Thrones movie. You know,
no. This Foundation obviously needs to be a series. So
good. I'm excited. I haven't seen the trailer yet.
Let's check out the trailer for Foundation.
Let's look at it.
Isaac Asimov's Foundation. An Apple original.
When I was a child at the edge of the galaxy, I heard stories about a man who could forecast the future. But the story remained dark to me until many years later, until it became my story. Until it became the only story.
You're familiar with my work, psychohistory?
Every mathematician has read your theory.
It's not a theory. It's the future of mankind expressed in numbers. And the Empire won't like the future I predict.
History is littered with charlatans and false messiahs.
So true.
We should kill them. We can murder the men, but what about the movement, brother? Martyrs tend to have a long half-life.
His math was right. The Empire is dying.
Wars will be endless. 1,000 worlds reduced to cinders.
Change is frightening, especially to those in power. But we can soften the fall.
So what's the plan?
Many years from now,
If humanity is to climb from the ashes, the coming generations will need the knowledge to build upon, a foundation.
We must preserve only the most essential pieces of civilization, deciding what is remembered, what is forgotten.
We are now staring down a barrel of a crisis.
This is the plan. We're not turning around now.
I kind of get legit chills watching that.
Looks pretty big.
It was big.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thousands of worlds reduced to ash and
Yeah,
cinder.
it's
Looks
just
like they
too
went
real.
for it.
Yeah.
And I love Lee Pace. I feel like he's one of those actors that I loved him in Pushing Daisies. That's where I kind of got
Mhm.
familiar with him. And he worked on the key art for that show, and I love Brian Fuller. And so I've kind of kept track of Lee Pace after that because I just think he's fantastic. But he always just seems to kind of skirt around being a big name. Like he's in the big things, but he never
Right.
seems to get the big. I'm hoping this might really bring home the Lee Pace love because he looks like he's got a huge role in this
Yeah.
and really pivotal. And of course, Jared Harris. I mean, he's so great.
Yeah. He really brings some
amazing.
gravitas to it. So
Yeah.
it
He
looks,
says anything, I believe it.
It
It's
looks
just-
like good casting from I
Really
mean
good.
I read the books a long time ago, but you know, you have an image in your mind that I've kept with me about these books, and
Yeah.
the some books really stay with you, and these really stayed with me. These and the Dune books and the Larry Niven stuff, and you know, Arthur C. Clarke and Heinlein,
Well, does
all
it- how
those
do-
writers.
Well, since I have never read the Foundation books, do
haven't
you
either.
sense from this trailer that they're sort of on the right track of what you thought or what the books were like to you? Like they're getting the idea. It seems like they might be.
Yeah,
tell
I
me.
think so. I mean, it looks, you know, you can't really see the pacing of it in the trailer. You're looking at
The lead
trailer,
pacing
the
of
person
it.
who cut the trailer. You're looking at their pacing.
Yeah.
But the ideas are big, and it's a very hard science fiction, and it looks like they put some action stuff in there, whereas the books had the big moments for sure. But Isaac Asimov was he was a writer of his time. You know, some of his books haven't aged well, and some of them, like Heinlein's books, have aged even worse. You know,
Right. Yeah,
his
that's
weird
true.
politics and his
Yeah.
the way he
Yeah.
depicts women and things like that. But the thing about Asimov is that the style of books at that time was a little bit more low key, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit more cerebral, you know,
Right.
and in some ways, I think some people read the Foundation books and they didn't like them as much because they were a little bit harder to get into,
A little colder.
a little colder, yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks like they've taken the books and made them into science fiction epics, and like you were mentioning before, Game of Thrones, they've thrown.
Yeah.
It looks like they pumped it up a little bit for us modern audiences.
Well, I've been wanting a new like series that, you know, like to get people over and watch every week like we used to with Game of Thrones. You know, it was
Yeah.
always fun to have the crew over. Maybe this will be that show. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
I
have to
hope
try
so. It looks good.
It sure does
It
look
looks
good, yeah.
really classy. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it looks like they're, even though they're, you know, amping up the the science
action.
the science fiction style of now, I can sense that they still have the core ideas of it, which is Harry Seldon's psychohistory and the idea of being able to make mathematical predictions for large populations and things like that. It's pretty heavy stuff. And
it's pretty
Asimov,
sad.
as you may or may not know, was a brilliant scientist as well as a writer. He was a science writer and wrote books about everything, history and science. So he knew a lot about history, wrote a lot about history, and like Frank Herbert with Dune, he created this future history that's really kind of plausible.
It looks pretty great.
Yeah.
And
Foundation
it looks like they
cutting.
got some good people for effects because the effects look really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it looks
designs
good.
are beautiful too.
Really
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Coming
So
in
yeah,
September 24th to Apple
pretty
Plus.
soon. Oh my
Yes.
God, it's right around the corner. Oh shit. Ah.
Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it looks
right.
good. So we're excited. Cinemondo's excited.
We're excited
Yes.
as an
Looks
entity.
good.
Yeah. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and tell us what you think about the Foundation.
Tell us if you
trailer.
read Foundation and if it looks good to you.
Yeah.
I
If
do
it
want to
looks-
hear about that.
If it looks worthy of the books to you, if you're a fan of
Yeah.
the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
They have the
Yes.
money to do it. They better do it. All right.
Thank you. Good
Thanks
to see
for
you.
watching.
The Earth is invaded by indestructible moon monsters.